I saw the Europe Study Abroad transfer this morning. It left the savings account bearing my name, authorized by my mother's digital signature. Our Rain deserves it more, she texted. Father added, the family must prioritize potential. They don't know I'm the director of compliance at Norcrest Dynamics. My job is to log everything. I didn't demand the money back. I just opened my audit journal. And I hit record. My name is Ava Merritt. I am 32 years old, and I am the Director of Compliance and Risk for Norcrest Dynamics. On Monday, our headquarters in Grayford is a cathedral of climate-controlled, recycled air and polished surfaces. The atrium is 3 stories of reinforced glass, designed to maximize natural light, but filtering it into something pale and observational. It's where the company performs its transparency. Today, a massive banner hangs suspended from the second-floor mezzanine. Quarterly Town Hall. Forward together. It's 8:52 a.m. The air smells of industrial-strength coffee and the faint citrus-based cleaner the night crew uses on the terrazzo floors. I'm standing by the stainless steel coffee station, my ID badge, blue, indicating senior leadership, hanging from a black lanyard. Director, Compliance and Risk. It's a title that means I am paid to be professionally skeptical. I am paid to find the single thread in the procedure that, if pulled, unravels the entire system. The murmur of the pre-meeting crowd is a familiar white noise. Analysts grabbing bagels. VPs networking with practiced ease. This is my territory, my rules. Then, the acoustic balance of the room shifts. The glass security turnstiles hiss open and click, admitting visitors, not employees, visitors. My parents, David and Eleanor Merritt, emerge as if stepping onto a stage. They are flanked by a smiling VP from Community Relations, who points them toward the executive guest seating. They are honored guests. My mother, Eleanor, is wearing a severe navy blue suit, her community leader armor. My father, David, walks with the proprietary air of a mid-level branch bank manager, which he is. Clinging to his arm, glowing under the anemic atrium light, is Rain. My sister, 23 years old, is a masterpiece of curated fragility. She's wearing a cream-colored midi dress that probably cost more than my first car. Her hair the color of expensive honey. She is the designated family artist, the sensitive one, the project. They don't look for me. They assume their position at the center of a small, migrating crowd of local dignitaries and Norcrest VPs who manage the corporate arts fund. I stay by the coffee urn, listening. My mother's voice is trained to carry, a precise tool honed by years of church council meetings. We're just so thrilled, she projects to our CFO, Robert Hemlock. It's Lion, for her painting. They hardly take any Americans. A real talent. Hemlock nods, sipping his coffee. It's what we've worked for, my mother continues, her hand resting on Rain's shoulder. She's the one, the only one we are truly proud of. She is going to make a mark. My phone vibrates in the pocket of my slate gray trousers, a hard, insistent buzz. It's not a text or a corporate email. The vibration cadence is different. It's a high-priority financial alert. I keep the professional, neutral half-smile fixed on my face as I watch my mother perform. She's positioning Rain as the family's sole successful IPO. I am the utility, the municipal bond that pays for the lights. But Rain is the high-risk, high-reward venture capital investment. I lift the phone, the sterile white and green of my banking app. High-value disbursement notification. My chest doesn't tighten. My breathing doesn't hitch. My job is to analyze data under pressure. This is data. Account. A. Merit Scholarship Fund. Amount. $68,200. Transaction. Type. Wire transfer. International. Recipient. Institut des Beaux-Arts. Lyon. I swipe down, past the authorized timestamp of 2:17 a.m. this morning, to the authorization method. Transaction note. Urgent educational disbursement. Authorized via guardian cosigner. D. Merritt. D. Merritt. David. My father. The A Merit Scholarship Fund is a misnomer. It's the account I established when my MBA signing bonus cleared. It's my money, earmarked for my own future. My parents are named on it from a decade ago, a fossilized administrative artifact from when I was a minor, a guardian carryover. I look up. The atrium light catches the glass panel next to me. My reflection is perfectly still. A woman in a sharp blazer, dark hair pulled back, watching her family accept congratulations for stealing her future. Rain catches my eye across the crowd. She detaches herself from our father's arm and drifts toward me, a vision in cream. She smells like peonies and entitlement. Ava, she smiles. A gentle, sympathetic performance. Rain, I see you made it. It's all happening so fast, she breathes, touching my arm. Her fingers are cool. Listen. She leans in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, though there's no one near us. I know it's a lot. The money. Mom and Dad are just, you know how they are. She pauses, giving me a chance to react. I just watch her. She presses on. You'll be fine, Ava. You always are. You're the strong one. She winks, a quick, bright gesture that says, the game is over. I won. Now be a good sport. That's the line, the confirmation, the admission. A cold, clean click sounds in my head. The emotional connection terminates. The auditor takes the chair. This is no longer a family matter. It is a compliance breach. It is an unauthorized transaction executed via a known, unpatched vulnerability. I give her the smile I reserve for executives I am about to investigate. Calm, polite, and utterly impenetrable. Of course, Rain, enjoy the town hall. She beams, satisfied that I have been placated, that I have accepted my role as the foundation she walks on. She floats back to the center of the room. I turn my back to the crowd. Facing the glass wall, I tap my phone. The banking app closes. I open the encrypted application I use for work. My personal, immutable audit journal. I create a new file. Norcrest Compliance Log 0314. I type the first entry. Time, 08:58. Location, Norcrest HQ. Atrium. Event, confirmation of unauthorized disbursement of $68,200 from A, Merit Fund, Secondary, by cosigner D, Merit, non-managing, beneficiary R, Merit, public statement of intent confirmed by E, Merit, 0856. Admission of awareness confirmed by R, Merit, 0858. I hit save. The lights in the atrium dim, and the CEO steps onto the stage, welcoming everyone to the quarterly town hall. My colleagues move toward the seating area. I don't demand the money back. I don't confront my father. I don't cry. I just stand in the back, in the shadows of the glass cathedral, and I start the log. The town hall drones on. Our CEO is using terms like synergistic alignment and future-proofing our core. My colleagues are nodding. My parents are sitting in the front row, looking like pillars of the community, proud. I am not listening. I am auditing the past. We grew up in Westbridge, a fictional town if there ever was one, a place so aggressively average it felt curated, a town of neatly kept lawns and unspoken agreements. My father, David, managed the local branch of Grayford Savings and Loan. He was a man built of policies and predictable interest rates. My mother, Eleanor, was a part-time pastoral counselor at the Presbyterian Church, specializing in family harmony and moral guidance. In the airtight ecosystem of our family, the roles were assigned early. Rain was the light. She was spontaneous, creative, and charmingly irresponsible. She felt things. When she broke a vase, it was because her artistic spirit was too large for the room. When she failed a class, it was because the teacher stifled her. I was the one who likes rules. I was dependable, methodical, and quiet. I was the one who balanced the checkbook at age 12, the one who proofread my father's branch reports, the one who created the household chore matrix. When I excelled, it was simply what Ava does. I wasn't a spirit. I was a system. Systems don't get praise, they just get used. The system that led to this morning's $68,200 theft began 6 years ago. I had just graduated with my MBA. The signing bonus from Norcrest Dynamics was the first real money I had ever seen. It was substantial. I intended to use it to pay down my student loans and open a high-yield investment account. My mother called a family meeting. We sat in the living room, the one with the plastic runners over the beige carpet. Eleanor presented her idea with the same earnest fervor she used for church fundraisers. "Ava, your father and I are so proud," she began. "You've worked so hard. Now, you have an opportunity to do something truly meaningful, to invest in this family's future." The proposal. My bonus wouldn't just be my money, it would be the seed capital for the Merritt Family Future Fund, a shared resource. "You're the earner, Ava," she said. "But Rain is the visionary. We need to nurture that." My father nodded. "A rising tide lifts all boats. Ava." I looked at Rain, who was sketching in a notebook, already bored. I looked at my parents. I knew exactly what they were asking. They weren't asking me to invest. They were asking me to be the treasury. I was 26. I was already working in risk assessment. I knew better than to say no, and I knew better than to say yes. So, I did what I do best. I drafted a contract. "I agree," I said, "but on specific terms." I created the A Merit Scholarship Fund. I was the primary account holder. They, as my parents, could retain their guardian cosigner status from my old college accounts, but I drafted a limited consent agreement. It was beautiful. It stipulated that the fund's purpose was long-term educational and professional development. It required dual-factor authentication for any transfer over $1,000. And most importantly, it stipulated that all disbursement requests must be logged and approved in writing by me, the primary holder, via a specific, shared digital ledger. They signed it without reading the bylaws. They just saw the account number and the routing information. They saw a resource. I saw a trap. For 6 years, I paid my own student loans. I worked my way from senior analyst to director. I bought my own condo. I built my actual savings in a separate bank they didn't know existed. And I let the family fund do its job. It nurtured Rain. It paid for the professional-grade camera system when Rain decided she was a photographer. 4,800, logged and approved. I was feeling generous. It paid for her intensive acting workshops in New York when she was going to be a star. 11,200, logged and approved. I considered it a sunk cost. It paid for the lease deposit on a downtown studio space for her brief, disastrous pottery collective, $6,000, logged and approved. Each time, a request came. Each time, I reviewed it, logged it, and hit approve. I was quiet. I was compliant. I was the strong one. I was building my case file, one approved transaction at a time. I was establishing a clear multi-year pattern of behavior. I was the sole authorizer. I wasn't just playing the long game. I was defining the rules of the board. Then, 3 months ago, the big request came, an email from Mother. Subject, Rain's future. "Ava," it read. "Incredible news. Rain has been accepted to the Institute in Lyon. It's a miracle. We need to send the tuition deposit immediately to hold her spot. It's 68,200. I'll need you to approve the transfer from the fund. We're all counting on you." I reviewed the documents she attached. It wasn't a tuition deposit. It was a non-refundable program acceptance fee for an unaccredited private art salon. It was a scam. And it was the total remaining balance of the fund. This was it, the moment the system would either hold or break. I logged into our shared ledger. I opened a new file. I wrote my official response. "Dear Eleanor, pursuant to our governing agreement for the A Merit Scholarship Fund, I have reviewed this request. The disbursement does not align with the fund's charter for accredited educational development. Furthermore, it represents a 100% drawdown of fund assets, which constitutes a material risk I am not willing to approve. The request is respectfully declined. No disbursement is authorized. I hit send. My phone rang seconds later. I let it go to voicemail. Then the texts. This is not a no, Ava. Rain is crying. Your father is disappointed. I didn't respond. I just saved a copy of my refusal. In my personal log, the entry was simpler. Norcrest Compliance Log 0112. Merit request for $68,200 disbursement. Lion. Status: reviewed. Declined. No disbursement authorized. All parties notified. For 3 months, the fund was silent until 02:17 a.m. this morning. The CEO is wrapping up the town hall. And that's why this quarter is so pivotal. My family is standing, accepting applause with him. They look so proud. They didn't just take the money. They bypassed a documented refusal. They broke the rules of the system I built. And they think, because I am the strong one, that I will just absorb the loss. They think I am the family utility. They have forgotten what I do for a living. I don't absorb risk. I mitigate it. I don't forgive breaches. I document them. And then I terminate the vulnerability, permanently. The crowd disperses. The caffeine-fueled energy of the town hall dissolves back into the daily grind. I walk away from the atrium, my footsteps silent on the terrazzo, and take the elevator to the 14th floor. My office is a corner unit, all glass, overlooking the Grayford skyline. It's sterile, quiet, and regulated. It is my sanctuary. I sit at my desk, the hum of the server rack in the adjacent room the only sound. I am no longer in the atrium. I am at my battle station. The first step in any audit is to understand the breach, the 02:17 a.m. transaction. My banking portal shows the top-level details, but I need the metadata. I log into the developer portal for Grayford Savings and Loan, a professional courtesy given to their high net worth and corporate clients. I am looking for the specific API call. I find it. The $68,200 wasn't transferred via a standard wire request. It was processed using a legacy function. Emergency Educational Release. I've never heard of it. I pull the bank's public API documentation, stacks of PDFs I've archived over the years. I cross-reference the function. It's old, very old. It corresponds to an electronic form. Form 2018E. I pull the form's specifications, and the blood in my veins turns to ice. Not from shock, from clarity. Form 2018E was the bank's method for handling urgent tuition payments before they implemented their new security protocols in 2021. The vulnerability is breathtaking. The 2018 form predates mandatory biometric confirmation. It predates the two-factor authentication that is now standard on all my other accounts. This old form, this relic in the system, only required a single electronic signature from any listed cosigner. It was a backdoor designed for panicked parents in 2018, and a perfect exploit for a determined thief in 2025. But how did my father have authorization? His rights as a cosigner were supposed to be limited by my own dual-factor approval, as per our 2019 agreement. I dig into my account charter, and I find the second vulnerability, the Guardian carryover. When I was 20, before the MBA, before Norcrest, this account was a simple college savings fund. My father was the Guardian signatory. When I turned 21, that status should have been purged, but it wasn't. It was superseded by my primary holder status, but never fully deleted from the bank's mainframe. It was a ghost in the machine, a dormant piece of code. My 2019 agreement, the one requiring my dual approval, governed all new transactions, but the 2018 e-form was an old transaction type. My father, the branch manager, didn't just find this loophole. He would have had to search for it. He exploited a legacy vulnerability in his own bank system, using a dormant permission he knew he shouldn't have, to bypass a direct, logged refusal from the primary account holder. This wasn't a family disagreement. This was bank fraud. As if on cue, an email notification pings on my screen. It's from my mother. Subject: Wonderful news. Let's celebrate. Dearest Ava and Rain, Such a relief. Your father managed to sort out all the complicated paperwork for Rain's Lyon tuition. It was just a silly misunderstanding at the bank, and it's all been handled. Rain is officially going to Europe. I told you the family would find a way to support our genius. We must celebrate. We have reservations at St. Haven Bistro tonight at 7 p.m. Our treat. Of course. See you both there. Love, Mom. A silly misunderstanding. Handled. Our treat. I saved the email as a PDF. Exhibit A. Now, I need the final piece, the smoking gun. I need to tie the 02:17 a.m. transaction to a physical location. I log back into the bank's security portal and file an immediate request for the IP authorization log for the transfer. As the primary account holder, I'm entitled to it. The system is automated. 10 minutes later, the log is in my inbox. Transaction ID 884T19, authorization time 02:17:03, EST, authorizing credential, D, Merit, guardian cosigner, IP address 72.144.81.33. I run the IP through a tracer. It resolves to a residential address. The ISP is Westbridge Broadband. The registered user is David Merritt. My parents' home computer, Exhibit B. I pick up my desk phone. I dial the number for the Grayford S&L Premier Client Desk. I am polite. I am Ava Merritt, the daughter. Hello, I say, my voice calm. I'm calling to report an unauthorized disbursement from my scholarship fund, account ending in 4055. I lay it out, the amount, the recipient, the fact that I had, on record, denied this exact transfer 3 months prior. The representative, a man named Mark, puts me on hold. When he returns, his voice is tight with legal training. Ms. Merritt, thank you for holding. I've reviewed the transaction. Our records show it was authorized using the valid credentials of the legal cosigner on the account, Mr. David Merritt. That cosigner's rights are limited by a superseding dual consent agreement, I state. Ah, he says. Well, this specific transfer type, the emergency release, only required one signature. According to the system, the authorization was valid. Ms. Merritt, this appears to be a family arrangement. The bank cannot intervene in how cosigners on a shared account, well, in how they agree to manage their funds. This is not a family arrangement, I say, my words precise. This is the exploitation of a legacy vulnerability in your system to bypass the primary holder's authority. I understand your frustration, Mark says, which means he doesn't. Our suggestion is that you settle this matter internally with your father. The bank considers the transaction finalized. He is asking me to talk it out. He is reading from a script. Thank you, Mark. You've been very clear. I hang up the phone. I sit for 1 second. The daughter, Ava Merritt, is gone. She has left the building. The Director of Compliance and Risk for Norcrest Dynamics is now at the desk. Norcrest Dynamics has over 4,000 employees. Grayford Savings and Loan holds a significant portion of our 401k portfolio. They manage our corporate travel and expense accounts. We are a very large client. And I, as Director of Compliance, am responsible for vetting the security of our third-party vendors. The bank thinks this is a family dispute. I am about to reframe it as an institutional risk. I open the Norcrest internal compliance portal. It's an anonymous whistleblower system that I myself designed. I create a new ticket. Ticket, ND Whistle, 47. Classification, Critical Submitter, A, Merit, Director, Non-Anonymous. Subject, Critical Vulnerability at Third Party. Financial Vendor, Grayford S&L. Potential risk to employee assets and corporate accounts. In the body of the ticket, I am no longer a daughter. I am a risk manager. To General Counsel, CFO. This report details a significant internal control failure identified at our vendor, Grayford Savings and Loan, GS&L. Summary. GS&L maintains a legacy API function. Emergency Educational Release. Form 2018E. that permits fund disbursements bypassing modern 2FA MFA protocols. This vulnerability can be exploited by any individual with dormant Guardian carryover credentials, a status that GS&L fails to properly purge when an account holder reaches legal majority. Incident: on October 25, 2025, at 02:17 a.m., this exact vulnerability was used to execute an unauthorized transfer of $68,200 from a Norcrest employee's account, the undersigned, by a dormant cosigner. Risk analysis: this vulnerability is not unique to my account. It potentially exposes all Norcrest employee assets held at GS&L to unauthorized access, particularly those who opened accounts as minors. This oversight demonstrates a material weakness in GS&L's internal security protocols, which may not be in compliance with current federal BSA/AML requirements. Recommendation: immediate review of our corporate relationship with GS&L. I request legal counsel join me in a formal inquiry to demand a full audit of their legacy systems and remediation of this vulnerability. I attach the files, Log 0112, My Refusal, PDF, Transaction 884. Metadata: fee, IP, log 72144881C PDF, Exhibit A Family Email, PDF. I hit Submit. The ticket fires. A copy is instantly routed to our CEO, our Chief Financial Officer, and our General Counsel. The bank will no longer be talking to Mark. They will be talking to our legal team. I look at the email invitation from my mother. St. Haven Bistro, 7 p.m. I will be there. I need to log the celebration. St. Haven Bistro is a performance of old money. The lighting is exclusively from fixtures that look like gas lamps, casting a warm, golden, forgiving glow on the patrons. The silverware is heavy. The linens are thick enough to muffle sound. This is where people come to close deals, to propose, or in our case, to celebrate a successful heist. I arrive at 7:03 p.m. They are already seated in a plush, semicircular booth. My father, waving the sommelier away from a bottle of wine he clearly can't pronounce but ordered anyway. My mother, radiant, her pearls gleaming against her navy dress, and Rain, the guest of honor, a champagne flute already in her hand, looking every bit the cherished prodigy. "Ava, darling!" my mother calls out, her voice a little too loud for the room. "You made it. We were worried your work would keep you." "I wouldn't miss it," I say, sliding onto the leather bench. The seat is cool. I place my linen napkin in my lap. I am here as an auditor. The scene is set. "We've already ordered the wine," my father says, a gesture meant to signal both his generosity and his control. "A French Malbec from the Cahors region, very near Lyon, you know." "How fitting," I murmur. The wine is poured. It's heavy, over-oaked. I raise the glass but don't drink. My mother, predictably, lifts her own glass. Her eyes are bright, energized by her victory. This is her moment. "A toast," she announces to the table, though her voice is, as always, for the room. "To our Rain, to her incredible, singular talent, to her future in Europe, a future we have all worked so hard to secure, to the only girl who makes this family truly, deeply proud." She beams at Rain, who ducks her head in a practiced show of humility. My father raises his glass in solemn agreement. My phone, in my pocket, vibrates. A single, short pulse. ND Whistle 47. Status update. General Counsel R. Evans has viewed Exhibit B. I keep my neutral smile. I raise my glass an inch off the table. "To Rain," I say. My mother's words hang in the air. A logged and witnessed statement. Public declaration of preferential treatment and motive. Before the glasses can even be set down. The waiter approaches, moving with practiced silence. He is not carrying a menu. He holds a single, crisp, cream-colored envelope, embossed with the St. Haven logo. "Excuse me, Mr. Merritt?" the waiter says. his voice a deferential whisper. This arrived for you from the concierge desk. A confirmation, as you requested. He places the envelope on the white cloth, next to my father's bread plate. Ah, yes, excellent, my father says, nodding curtly. He intends to pocket it, to file it away. But Rain is too fast, too excited. Ooh, is that from the school? Is it my acceptance packet? She gushes, her voice childlike. She slides the heavy envelope across the table, her painted nails grazing the linen. The envelope is unsealed. She pulls out the contents, and a thick watermarked piece of paper unfolds onto the table. It's not an acceptance letter, it's a receipt. It's from the Institut des Beaux-Arts, Lyon. It's a formal confirmation of payment received. Payment received in full, $62,000, USD, $68,200. Program, Salon d'automne. And at the bottom, in a clearly typed box, payer of record, sponsor, Merit, Ava. The table goes utterly silent. The golden light seems to sharpen, to find every line, every pore. Rain is the first to break the silence. She laughs, a high, tinkling sound that is painfully false. Oh, Daddy, that's adorable. You had them put Ava's name on it? Like a cute little anonymous sponsor? To make her feel like she was part of it? She winks at me, the same conspiratorial wink from the atrium. So sweet. My mother is already moving to refold the paper. Rain, that's private. I don't look at Rain. I look at my mother. My voice is quiet, but it cuts through the restaurant's murmur. Who paid this? My mother's hand freezes on the paper. Her smile tightens. We've been over this. Ava, the family paid. We handled it. It's done. This is a celebration, not an interrogation. She tries to pull the paper back, but my hand is already on it. I don't snatch it. I simply place my fingers on the corner and slide the document toward my side of the table. My movement is slow, deliberate, and final. My parents watch me, frozen. I pull my phone from my pocket. Ava, don't be dramatic, my father says, his voice low. I don't respond. I unlock the phone. I bypass the camera. I open the NoteScan app, the enterprise-level software we use at Norcrest for archiving legal documents. What are you doing? My mother hisses. I hold the phone over the receipt. A green trapezoid appears on the screen, framing the document. The app compensates for the dim lighting. It's flash-firing once, sharp and sterile. Scan captured. Rain is staring, her mouth slightly open. She's taking a picture of it? But I'm not just taking a picture. The app's OCR is reading the text. It's analyzing the small QR code in the bottom right corner, the bank's transaction marker. My screen populates with the metadata. Scan, Institute Lion receipt, PDF source link, QR ref 884T19, embedded data. Source account, A, Merit Fund, 4055. Authorization path, parent override, legacy. Bypass, 2FA Merit primary, declined, 2025-01-12. This receipt is the missing link. It is the undeniable proof that the funds stolen via the bank vulnerability were received by the school. Cementing the fraudulent act, it's the end of the chain. I lower my phone. I look down at my plate, as if embarrassed. I push the receipt back toward the center of the table. My voice is barely a whisper. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. My mother is baffled. She sees submission. Well, good. Now that that's settled, can we please order? Under the table, hidden by the thick linen, my thumb is moving. Open. ND whistle. 47. Attach file. Institute Lion receipt. PDF. Add comment. Exhibit C. Beneficiary acceptance receipt. Scanned, 1922, Est, St. Haven Bistro. Document links unauthorized transfer, 884 T-Manin directly to our Merit, E. Merit and D. Merit present, E. Merritt verbally confirmed family authorization at 1922. D. Merritt did not dispute. I hit upload. A small loading wheel spins, then turns into a green checkmark. The file is now on the Norcrest legal server, instantly available to the General Counsel and the CFO. I look up. Rain is sipping her champagne, looking annoyed. My mother is flagging down the waiter. Only my father is watching me. He hasn't moved. He's a branch manager. He understands receipts. He understands digital trails. He understands what I just did. He knows that wasn't a picture. It was a submission of evidence. His face, so proud a moment ago, is pale. He leans forward, his hand gripping the stem of his wine glass so tightly his knuckles are white. The glass looks like it might shatter. His voice is a pressurized hiss, meant only for me, a sound that shreds the polite atmosphere of the bistro. Ava, stop it. You don't know what you're doing. You don't make a big deal out of this. It is a family matter. I meet his gaze. The daughter he's talking to is an illusion. The director of compliance is logging his threat. Log entry, 1924. D. Merritt attempting to suppress documentation. Classification. Intimidation. I pick up my water glass. My hand is perfectly steady. Did you want to order an appetizer, Father? I ask. The call came at 11:04 a.m. It was from Rebecca Evans, our general counsel. Ava, she said, her voice devoid of pleasantries. The risk committee of the board is here for the quarterly review. The CFO and I have briefed them on your ticket. They want to see you, now, boardroom 20A. I'll be right up, I said. This was the escalation. ND Whistle 47 had done its job. It had bypassed the bank's customer service and my family's emotional leverage. It had activated the corporate immune system. Boardroom 20A is a fishbowl of glass and brushed steel on the executive floor. It overlooks the entire Grayford financial district. The table is a single, polished slab of dark mahogany. Seated at it were the three most powerful people in the company: Robert Hemlock, the CFO, Rebecca Evans, General Counsel, and Alistair Dunn, the board's risk committee chair. My own boss, the COO, sat near the end, looking uncomfortable. This was my crowd, a crowd of 5 people who could liquidate a division without blinking. I walked in. I did not apologize for the summons. I was not there as an employee in trouble. I was there as the director of compliance, answering a formal query. Ms. Merritt, Alistair Dunn said. He was a man in his late 60s, with the placid, unreadable face of old money. We have read your report. It is concerning. It is a material weakness in a key vendor, I replied, my voice flat. I plugged my encrypted laptop into the table's central port. Your report is also... Rebecca Evans paused, searching for the word. Detailed, on a personal matter. The personal matter is the case study, I said. It is the proof of concept for the exploit. The main projector screen lit up. I had only one slide. It was white text on a black background. When control fails at home, it fails at work. The room was silent. I could hear the purified air cycling through the vents. Robert Hemlock, the CFO, shifted in his leather chair. He knew what was coming. Grayford Savings and Loan, I began, my voice the same cadence I used for quarterly audit reports. Our primary 401k vendor is operating with a critical, unpatched legacy vulnerability. I did not use my name. I did not use my father's name. I spoke in abstracts, in policy. The vulnerability is a guardian carryover status that is not purged when a minor account holder reaches legal majority. This dormant status can be activated by a legacy API call, Form 2018E, which bypasses all modern two-factor and biometric authentications. I laid it out, the logic, the exploit, the refusal I had logged, the 2:17 a.m. transfer that bypassed that refusal. The bank's position, I continued, is that this is a family arrangement. They refuse to classify it as fraud. They have placed the burden of resolution on the primary account holder. Alistair Dunn steepled his fingers. So, the bank has a loophole. One that cost you $68,200, according to your ticket. That is the sum, I said. But that is not the risk I am here to discuss. This isn't about my money. It's about our systems. I looked directly at Robert Hemlock. This parent override, as the bank calls it, is a perfect template for an internal threat, and a similar vulnerability exists right now in our own corporate infrastructure. Hemlock's jaw tightened. He knew exactly what I was talking about. I am referring, I said to the committee, to the managerial override function in the Norcrest Travel Reimbursement System, our T&E platform. I clicked to a blank slide, a white screen. Just like the bank's Guardian carryover, our system allows a senior manager to override a compliance flag on an expense report submitted by a direct subordinate. It's designed for convenience, to push through a missed receipt or a per diem exception. It requires only the manager's signature. It bypasses the two-step verification from finance. It's a feature, Ms. Merritt, Hemlock cut in, his voice irritated. Not a bug. We trust our managers. And the bank trusted its guardians, I countered, my voice still level. Trust is a courtesy. Control is a policy. What happens when a manager's interests do not align with the company's? What happens when a manager approves a subordinate's fraudulent expenses because they are colluding? I let the question hang in the sterile air. What happens, I said, when the control fails at work? The room was silent again. Rebecca Evans, the lawyer, understood. She saw the lawsuits. Alistair Dunn, the board member, saw the regulatory fines. I reached into my bag and pulled out a single, black USB drive. I placed it on the mahogany table. It sat between us, small and inert. What is that? Dunn asked. The evidence, I said. That drive contains the immutable logs for the case study, the initial written refusal, the IP logs of the Error 217 AM transfer, originating from the cosigner's home, the bank's formal refusal to act, the email from the family admitting to the act, and finally, the time-stamped, geolocated scan of the payment receipt from the bistro, confirming beneficiary acceptance. I looked at them. You don't need to see it. It's all appended to the whistleblower ticket. But I brought it to make a point. Data doesn't care about relationships. It just is. Robert Hemlock let out a long, heavy sigh. He rubbed the bridge of his nose, a gesture of complete surrender. He looked at Alistair Dunn. She's right, the CFO said, his voice defeated. We do have a similar vulnerability in travel reimbursement, the managerial override function. It's been on the internal audit backlog for a year. We've just accepted the risk, assumed our managers wouldn't abuse it. A risk is only acceptable until it's exploited, I said. I am the director of compliance. I am telling you the risk is no longer acceptable. What do you propose, Ms. Merritt? Dunn asked. This was the moment. I had their full attention. I propose we lock the corporate parent override, effective immediately. I want that managerial override function sunsetted. All reimbursements, regardless of amount, must have independent, multi-signature approval. A manager can approve, but a second, non-conflicted signature must come from finance. No exceptions. Hemlock started to protest. The friction that will create, it will slow down travel. It will stop fraud. I cut him off. It will make us compliant. It will make us secure. Dunn looked at Rebecca Evans. She nodded. Legally, it's the only defensible position. If this vulnerability is known, and we do nothing, our D&O insurance won't cover us when it's exploited. Dunn looked back at me. Agreed. Draft the new protocol with Mr. Hemlock's office. We'll run a company-wide pilot, effective end of week. The board approves. It was over. I had won. As I was gathering my laptop, my phone, which was on the table, vibrated. The screen lit up. A text message from Eleanor Merritt, my mother. My father must have called her. He must have known I was escalating, that I was in a meeting. He must have told her I was risking my job to fight them. Her message was short. You are embarrassing yourself. I read the text. I registered the words. She wasn't worried I was breaking a law. She wasn't ashamed she had stolen from me. She was concerned that my reaction to the theft was causing a scene. I looked up at the board. They were watching me. I pressed the button on the side of my phone, silencing the notification. The screen went dark. "Thank you for your time," I said. "I'll have the draft protocol to you by 4. I picked up the USB drive, slid it into my pocket, and walked out of the room. The corporate win was a systemic fix. It was structural. Now, I had to deal with the originating incident. I returned to my office. It was 4:30 p.m. The board meeting had secured my position and my new protocol. My phone was silent. My mother had not texted again. My father had not called. They were likely in conference, deciding on their next move, still believing they had leverage, still believing this was about emotion. They didn't realize I had moved on to the next phase of the audit, verifying the beneficiary. The receipt from St. Haven Bistro was on my desk, the scan of it already archived on the server, Institut des Beaux-Arts, Lyon. It was 10:30 p.m. in Lyon, but a school handling international wires often has a late-hours bursar's office. I looked up the number and dialed. I used my desk phone, which records and logs all international calls. A recording picked up, in French, then English. "Thank you for calling the Institute. Our offices are now closed. For payment and sponsorship inquiries, please press..." I pressed 2, a new voice. This one live. "Bonsoir. This is the finance office. This is Damien." "Hello, Damien," I said, my voice crisp and professional. "My name is Ava Merritt. I am calling from the United States regarding a recent wire transfer for a new student. Rain Merritt. I am the listed sponsor on the payment." "Ah, oui, Merritt," he said. I heard him typing. "We received the payment this morning. Yes, from..." He paused. "From Merritt, Ava. You are the sponsor. How can I help you?" "I am calling to confirm 2 items for my records," I said. "First, I need to confirm that Ms. Merritt's accommodations and housing have been secured with this payment. Second, I need a copy of her finalized enrollment and class schedule." Another pause. More typing. The sound was hesitant. "Madame," Damien said, his tone shifting from helpful to cautious. "The payment you sent was not for housing. It was the dossier d'évaluation tardif, the fee for a late application review." I kept my voice perfectly neutral. "A late review fee? The amount was $68,200. Oui, that is the correct fee for a non-EU candidate applying after the March deadline for the Salon d'automne. It is very expensive. Yes, it is non-refundable." A $68,200 application fee. My parents hadn't stolen my money for Rain's education. They had stolen it to let her cut the line. "I see," I said. "So this fee guarantees her place?" "Non, madame," he said, sounding almost apologetic. "It guarantees a review. The committee will evaluate her portfolio, but to be honest, her file is not complete. We are still missing her letters of recommendation and her language proficiency exams, and the program is already full for this term." The sheer, breathtaking stupidity of it was a cold slap. Rain wasn't just a beneficiary, she was a con artist, and my parents were her willing, ignorant marks. "So, Damien," I continued, "to be perfectly clear, Rain Merritt is not currently enrolled, has no confirmed place, and has no housing secured by the school." "That is correct," he said. "This fee simply holds the application for review. The review will happen within 14 days. If her file is not completed by then, the application is discarded, the fee is forfeit." 14 days. The clock was ticking. "One last question. Damien, has Ms. Merritt been in contact with you? Has she, perhaps, indicated that she believes she is fully enrolled?" She emails our office many times," he said, and I could hear the Gallic shrug in his voice. "She asks about student housing. We tell her she is not eligible until she is accepted. She was very insistent. that her sponsor was handling it. Thank you. Damien, you have been extremely helpful. Please do not, under any circumstances, complete that application review. My sponsorship is under dispute. I will be sending a formal notice. I hung up the phone. Rain had no intention of going to Lyon, or if she did, she was delusional. Lyon wasn't the plan. It was the justification. The $68,200 was seed money for her fantasy life. But where? I am a compliance director. I am trained to find patterns in data. Where does a 23-year-old aspiring artist really want to go? I opened a firewalled browser. I navigated to Rain's public Instagram profile. It was all filtered photos of her pottery, her lattes, her face. The bio read, Artist, Dreamer, Westbridge, NYC, soon. I scrolled, and I found it, a post from 2 days ago, a picture of a white-walled, empty room with a large window. It was a screenshot from a rental website. The caption, Secured my Parisian dream. Can't wait to make art in this incredible Montmartre studio. See you soon. City of Light. Artist life, Paris dream big. She had booked a studio in Paris, not Lyon. She had lied to our parents. She had used them to steal my money so she could run off to Paris and play the starving artist in a studio she couldn't afford. The Lyon deposit was just the story she sold them. The most expensive, non-refundable lie she could think of. Now I had all the pieces. This was no longer just a Guardian carryover exploit. This was now, officially, wire fraud by misrepresentation. The bank could not call this a family arrangement. I picked up my desk phone again. I dialed my premier client banker at Grayford S&L. Not Mark, my actual banker, the one who managed my Norcrest leadership portfolio. David, I said. It's Ava Merritt. I have a critical situation. I am formally disputing transaction 884T19, the $68,200 wire. I am flagging it as fraudulent. Ava, what? I thought your father... My father is the source of the fraud, I stated. The transaction was executed without my authorization, which you already know, but I have now confirmed with the recipient in France that the service paid for was materially misrepresented by the cosigner. The funds were allegedly for tuition, but were, in fact, for a non-refundable, expiring late application fee for a student whose file isn't even complete. The beneficiary, my sister, has not been accepted and has, in fact, already secured accommodations in a different city. There was a long silence on the line. David, my banker, was realizing the scope of the problem. A branch manager at his own bank committing wire fraud. I am emailing you my logged refusal from 3 months ago, I continued. I am emailing you the audio log of my call with the French Institute. I am emailing you the receipt from St. Haven. I am filing an immediate chargeback for misrepresentation of services. I expect those funds to be frozen and returned to my account by end of business tomorrow. Ava, he said, his voice strained. A chargeback on an international wire. That's not simple. It is when the bank itself is party to the fraud. Your employee, David Merritt, used his internal knowledge of your bank's legacy systems to execute this. That moves this out of dispute and into internal investigation. Or I can just forward my entire file, which is already packaged for Norcrest's legal team, to the OCC and the CFPB, your choice. Understood, he said, his voice tight. I am escalating this. I am sending this to our internal fraud and ethics division. Right now. That's what I thought you'd do. I hung up. I logged the call. I attached the audio file. Then I opened ND Whistle 47. I added a new entry. Log entry, 1730. Phone call with GNSL. D. Evans. Formally filed chargeback for misrepresentation on 884T19. Submitted new evidence. Audio file. Lyon Registrar. Beneficiary deception. GNSL has confirmed they are escalating the file to their internal fraud division. The bank is now investigating D. Merritt, employee, for internal fraud. My phone rang. The screen flashed. David Merritt, my father. I let it ring 3 times. Then I answered. I said nothing. Ava, he barked. His voice was shaking, not with sadness, with rage. The rage of a man who has been caught. He had received the alert from the Internal Fraud Division. Ava, what did you do? What did you do? I am getting calls from corporate, from ethics. You are ruining me. I am documenting a fraudulent transaction, I said, my voice as calm as the glass on my desk. This is not fraud. This is family. I am your father. We are trying to help your sister. This is what families do. Why can't you just talk to us like a family? The air in my office felt very cold. I looked out the window at the Grayford skyline. All those buildings, all those systems, all those rules. They were the only things that had ever protected me. We are talking, I said. I am the primary account holder. You are the unauthorized cosigner. We are talking like family, and we are talking as a matter of federal banking law. I hung up the phone. It took 4 days for the pressure to build. 4 days of my father being investigated by his own bank. 4 days of lawyers from Norcrest and Grayford S&L exchanging increasingly terse emails. The $68,200 was frozen. Sitting in an escrow account, a prisoner of war, Rain's 14-day window to complete her file was ticking down. On Saturday evening, my mother texted, it was not a request, it was a summons. Sunday lunch, our house, 1 p.m., be here. The old house in Westbridge, the stage for every family meeting, every performance of Harmony. I hadn't been back in 6 months. The drive felt heavy, the air thick with the humidity of a coming storm. I arrived at 1:03 p.m. The house was unnervingly quiet. It smelled of overbrewed coffee and the lemon oil polish my mother used to erase fingerprints from her furniture. Rain was not there. Her room was empty, her car gone. My father was in his armchair in the den, staring at a golf tournament on TV. The sound was muted. He looked like a man who had been hollowed out. He didn't look up when I entered. The bank's Internal Fraud Division had clearly done its work. He was a branch manager waiting to be fired. David, I said. He flinched. He just flinched. He didn't answer. She's in the dining room. Ava, he mumbled to the television screen. I walked into the dining room. The table was set for 2. My mother stood by the mahogany sideboard, a plate of dry sandwiches in her hand. She was wearing a beige twin set, the picture of beige normalcy. Ava, she said, her voice brittle. Sit, eat. I'm not hungry, I said. Why am I here, Mother? She put the plate down. The sound of porcelain on wood was sharp. Your father is going to lose his pension, she said. Her back was to me. They're using words. Conspiracy. Fraud. His own bank. After 34 years. This thing you've done, it's destroying him. He destroyed himself, I said. He signed his name to a theft. He did what was necessary, she snapped, turning to face me. Her eyes were bright, not with tears, but with a terrible, self-righteous fire. He did what was necessary for Rain. And you just can't stand that. You can't stand that she is the one. The one what? The one you chose? The one who needed it. You've always had your rules, your scholarships, your salary. She has her spirit. It needs protecting. She was breathing hard. This was the sermon she had been practicing. This was the justification. He had no right, I said. The bank has confirmed it. The vulnerability was a mistake. That, she said, her voice dropping, is where you are wrong. She turned to the mantelpiece. On it, between 2 porcelain birds, sat a dark, polished, wooden box. It was a gift from the bank, given to me when I won my first academic scholarship at 17, a box to keep your achievements safe. I'd always found it vaguely morbid. She picked up a small, tarnished key from a hook. Your father is a good man, Ava. He did not break a rule. He used one, and I have the proof. She held the key out to me. In here. This is the proof that I'm not wrong. That we are not wrong. Open it. This was it. her final move, the ace she believed she had. She was giving me the key to my own compliance trap. I took the key. It was cold. I walked to the mantel. I put the key in the lock. It turned with a small, dry click. I lifted the lid. The box smelled of old paper and cedar. My original scholarship certificate, yellowing at the edges, lay at the bottom. On top of it were 2 documents. The first was the original, hard copy Guardian Carryover Authorization Form, dated March 2004, signed by me, at 17, and by my father. It was the physical artifact of the vulnerability. "Read it," my mother commanded, from across the room. I picked up the thick, folded paper. I read the standard bank boilerplate. I turned the page. And on the final page, at the bottom, there was a handwritten addendum. It was in my mother's perfect, looping cursive. Addendum. This authorization is to be automatically nullified when the account holder, Ava Merritt, reaches full financial independence, as defined by bank policy, independent income status, and no longer requires parental support. My mother's voice was quiet, triumphant. "See? Requires support. Rain required support. The family required it. It was a family fund. Ava, we had the right." She thought this was her checkmate. She thought this vague, handwritten clause gave her moral and legal authority. She had just admitted to writing it herself. But she didn't know what I knew. She didn't know what I was looking for. Tucked behind the 2004 form was a second, more recent letter. It was from Grayford Savings and Loan. It was addressed to me, and it was dated August 14th of last year. I pulled it out. It was a change of status notification. "Dear Miss Merritt, we are pleased to inform you that, as of August 1st, 2024, our records confirm you have met the independent income threshold for 6 consecutive quarters. Your account status has been formally updated. As a result of this change, all guardian or minor status flags on your associated accounts are now nullified and pending final system removal. To complete this process and remove D. Merritt as a dormant cosigner, please have all parties sign and return the enclosed E-Form 77B. The E-Form 77B was still attached, pristine, unsigned, unfiled. I looked at the letter. It had been mailed to this address, my old address. She had received it. She had read it. She had hidden it. She knew, for more than a year, that my father's cosigner status was legally nullified. She knew his rights were expired. The only reason the Guardian carryover still existed as a loophole in the digital system was because she intercepted my mail and willfully failed to file the form. The Euro 217 AM transfer wasn't just an exploit of a dormant rule, it was forgery. It was identity theft. She didn't just allow my father to use the loophole, she actively, deliberately created the loophole by withholding a legal document. The air in the room was so thin I could barely breathe. The silence was absolute. I looked up from the paper. I looked at my mother. Her triumphant smile was gone. Her face was as pale as the dry sandwiches. She saw, in my eyes, that her proof was her confession. "You didn't file the form," I said. It was not a question. It was a verdict. Her face crumpled. The fire was gone, replaced by a desperate, ugly plea. "He was going to lose his rights," she whispered, as if that explained it. "It was the only way. Rain needed us. She needed that money. I just wanted what was best for Rain." The family motto, the absolution for every sin. My hands were perfectly steady. I carefully folded the 2004 authorization. I folded the 2024 bank notification. I slid them both into the inside pocket of my blazer. My mother took a step forward. "Ava, no, don't take those. That's private. That's family." "It's evidence," I said. I pulled out my phone. Open, note scan. "Ava, please," she cried. "You've won. The money is frozen. Isn't that enough? You are ruining us." I held the phone over the 2004 document. The flash was so bright it made her flinch. Scan captured. Exhibit D. I held the phone over the 2024 bank notification. Scan captured. Exhibit E. It's not about the money anymore, I said. It's about the control. Under the table, my thumb was moving. Open. ND Whistle 47. Add. Comment. Final exhibits. Exhibit D. Original Guardian Carryover Auth. With handwritten nullification clause. Authored by E. Merritt. Exhibit E. 2024. Bank notification of independent income status. Evidence confirms E. Merritt, Eleanor, willfully intercepted U.S. mail and failed to file nullification E-form, thereby creating the system vulnerability. This premeditated act elevates the incident from internal fraud to a conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Attach. Exhibit D. PDF. Exhibit E. PDF. Recipient. R. Evans, GC. R. Hemlock, CFO. A. Dunn, Board. D. Evans, GNSL Internal Fraud. I hit Upload. The green checkmark appeared. The log was complete. I looked at the empty wooden box on the mantel. My achievements. I put the lid back on. I turned the small, tarnished key, a final, soft click. I walked back to the dining table and slid the key across the polished wood. It stopped, resting against the plate of untouched sandwiches. My mother just stared at it. It's empty now, I said, and I walked out of the house. The call was scheduled for Monday at 10:00 a.m. My glass-walled office became a command center. I had my laptop open. ND Whistle 47 displayed in one window. The bank's portal in another. I had a glass of water. I had my logs. At 9:58 a.m., my speakerphone chimed. Ava, it's Rebecca Evans, our general counsel said. Her voice was pure steel. I'm on. Are you ready? I am, I said. Good. I'm patching them in. This is a 3-way recorded line. Our side is being logged for corporate record. A click, a new tone. This is Mr. Kincaid from the legal department at Grayford Savings and Loan. I am here with Mr. Evans from Internal Fraud and Mr. David Evans, your premier banker. This call is being recorded by Grayford S&L, and we do not consent to any other recording. Understood. Mr. Kincaid, Rebecca said. Norcrest is also logging this call, as is our right as the primary corporate client. Your non-consent is noted and irrelevant. We are proceeding. The tension was immediate, a legal Cold War. Ms. Merritt, Kincaid began, his voice smooth and reptilian. We are here to discuss your claim regarding transfer 884T19. We have reviewed your extensive file. We have also concluded our initial review with our employee, Mr. David Merritt. I waited. Silence. Well, Rebecca prompted. The bank's position, Kincaid said, is that this is an extraordinarily complex family matter that has unfortunately entangled our systems. A system, I cut in, my voice sharp and cold. That your employee, Mr. Merritt, exploited his access is a matter we are handling internally. Ms. Merritt, what we are here to discuss is a resolution. The funds are currently frozen. The bank cannot, and will not, be held liable for a dispute between co-signers. This was their move. They were trying to stonewall, to frame it as a he said, she said, between me and my father. They were trying to protect the bank from the systemic liability I had proven. Mr. Kincaid, I said, let's be precise. This is not a dispute. It is a documented sequence of fraudulent acts. Let me summarize the log for you. As it now stands, I didn't wait for him to agree. 1. The primary holder, myself, issued a formal written denial for this exact transaction on January 12th, Exhibit A. 2. The cosigner, your employee David Merritt, bypassed this denial on October 25th at 02:17 a.m. from his home IP address. Exhibit B. 3. The cosigner used a legacy API, Form 2018E, that he had internal knowledge of, a form that bypasses your bank's modern security. 4. The beneficiary and cosigners, at 7:22 p.m. on October 25th, admitted to this transaction, and I secured a receipt linking the wire to the beneficiary, Exhibit C. 5. The authorization Mr. Merritt used was legally nullified. I have a 2024 bank notification, Exhibit E, confirming my independent income status, which voided his guardian rights. That form was intercepted and willfully withheld by his co-conspirator, Eleanor Merritt, as she confessed to me yesterday, Exhibit D. I paused. The only sound on the line was the faint hum of the speakerphone. This is not a family matter, Mr. Kincaid. This is a multi-year conspiracy to commit wire fraud, executed by your employee, who used his position to create the vulnerability that allowed for the theft. Now, how would you like to proceed? More silence. This was the longest, heaviest silence of all. It was the sound of lawyers staring at a losing case. I heard Kincaid clear his throat. Ms. Merritt, your assertions are noted. The bank, without admitting any liability, is prepared to seek an amicable resolution. I don't want an amicable resolution, I said. I want my money. Of course, Kincaid said, his voice slick. But to reverse a completed international wire, we must have a formal, legal justification. We can't simply take it back. We require a written admission from the parties who authorized or benefited from the transfer, a confession. Rebecca Evans spoke. A confession? You're asking our client to secure a confession from the people who defrauded her? That's absurd. It's policy, Kincaid snapped. We need a legal basis for the reversal. We need one of the other parties, David, Eleanor, or Rain Merritt, to sign a statement admitting the funds were transferred in error. Without that, our hands are tied, the money stays in escrow, and you'll have to pursue this in civil court. He thought he had me. He was betting I couldn't get it. He was betting that my family would circle the wagons and refuse to sign anything, leaving me in a years-long legal battle while Rain's 14-day window expired and the $68 and $200 was forfeited to the French school. I looked at my other monitor, Rain's Instagram, a new post from 2 hours ago, a picture of her looking panicked in a Parisian cafe. Bureaucracy is a nightmare. So many forms. Artist problems. Her 14-day window was closing. She was desperate. To be clear, I said to Kincaid, you will reverse the charge. If I can get a written admission, a signed, digital admission from a party to the transaction, yes, that would be sufficient grounds. And this admission, it can come from the beneficiary, Rain Merritt? Kincaid paused. He was probably thinking, the girl who got the money? She'll never sign. Yes, he said. If the beneficiary is willing to sign a formal statement that the funds were received by her as an unqualified party, we would have grounds to act. Excellent, I said. Please send me the E-form for that. The what? The E-form. For an unqualified beneficiary admission. You must have one. Send me the link. I'll get it signed. There was a frantic, muffled discussion on his end. He had no idea I was calling his bluff. We have a beneficiary fund resolution form, he finally said, his voice suspicious. It's highly irregular. Send it. A new email pinged in my inbox. Subject: GNSL. Secure form, BFR 901. I clicked the link. It was a sterile, unforgiving web form. I, the undersigned, Rain Merritt, do hereby confirm that I am the intended beneficiary of wire 884T19. I acknowledge that I am classified as an unqualified beneficiary as defined by GNSL policy 40.1.2, and that my claim to these funds is in dispute. It was perfect. It was a suicide note. I have the form, I said. Please hold. Ms. Merritt, what are you? I put the speakerphone on mute. I opened my personal text messages. I typed a new message to Rain. My fingers were fast, the logic precise. She was desperate. She was in Paris. Her 14-day window was almost gone. She thought forms were the only thing in her way. I wrote, Rain, the transfer is still frozen. The bank won't release the money to the school because of a compliance flag. They are going to recall the funds today unless you sign the final confirmation. I waited a beat. I sent a second text. I can't stop it, but you can. They just sent me the link. It's the only way to secure your spot. Sign it, now. I pasted the link. I sent a third. Final text. It's called the Unqualified Beneficiary Form. Some stupid bank term for students. It's the last hurdle. Just sign it so this is over. I unmuted the speakerphone. I've sent the request to the beneficiary, I said. You what? Kincaid was floored. Ms. Merritt, this is illegal. You can't just... You asked for a signed admission, I said. I am getting it for you. All we have to do is wait. And so we waited. The silence on the conference call was absolute. It was 10:14 a.m. I could hear Rebecca Evans breathing, slow and steady. I could hear Kincaid's muffled, furious whispering to his colleagues. I just watched my email inbox. Refresh. Nothing. Refresh. Nothing. 10:15 a.m. My screen flashed. It was not an email from Rain. It was an automated system alert from Grayford Savings and Loan. Subject: Notice. Transaction 884-T99 status change. I opened it. This is an automated notification. The hold on transaction 884-T19 has been resolved. Reason: Beneficiary admission of unqualified status. Form BFR 901. Action: Funds reversed. $68,200 has been credited back to account. 4055 A. Merit Scholarship Fund. The transaction is now closed. She had signed it. In her desperation to secure the money, she had signed the one form that guaranteed she would never see it. She had confirmed, with her own digital signature, that she was not qualified to receive it. The bank's automated system, seeing the fraud flag from me and the admission from her, did exactly what it was programmed to do. It executed the reversal. The war was over. I looked at the speakerphone. Mr. Kincaid? I said. Yes, he said. His voice was a flat, dead thing. I've just received an automated notification. It appears the funds have been returned to my account. The beneficiary, Rain Merritt, has signed your form. The matter is resolved. I continued. As for our other business, your employee, David Merritt, is a confirmed party to felony wire fraud. Your bank's legacy systems are a critical liability. My legal counsel at Norcrest, Ms. Evans, will be following up with you regarding our corporate accounts. Thank you, gentlemen, I said, my voice as calm as the grave. Thank you for reading the log. I disconnected the call. It is 2 weeks later. The atrium at Norcrest Dynamics is full again. This is not a town hall. It is an event. Today is the inaugural Norcrest Compliance and Ethics Day. It's an initiative I proposed. It's a public-facing conference designed to showcase our commitment to security and ethics in the wake of our vendor review. We have invited local business leaders, academics, and partners from other financial institutions. We are live streaming the keynote presentation to monitors throughout the building, including the massive screen suspended in the atrium. I am the keynote speaker. I stand on the same stage the CEO used. The lighting is warmer today, more like a theater. The audience is a mix of my colleagues, Norcrest executives, and external guests. Rebecca Evans and Robert Hemlock are in the front row. Alistair Dunn, the board member, is with them. They are here to watch their new system be unveiled. And in the third row, near the aisle, are my guests. My mother is here, wearing her Sunday best, a strained, bright smile plastered on her face. She is here to perform support for her successful daughter, a desperate act of public relations to prove that her family is still intact, that the rumors are just rumors. My father is not with her. His career at Grayford Savings and Loan, 34 years of it, was terminated 5 days ago. Early retirement, the bank called it. But Rain is here. She is sitting next to my mother, a ghost in expensive clothes. Her trip to Paris lasted exactly 4 days, until her supplementary credit card, the one linked to my father's now frozen pension account, was declined. She flew home economy, humiliated. She is here because my mother dragged her. One last performance as the prodigy. I grip the lectern. My hands are not shaking. "Good morning," I say. My voice is amplified, filling the 3-story space. "Welcome to Compliance Day. My name is Ava Merritt, Director of Compliance and Risk." My mother beams, nudging Rain. "See? She's fine. We are fine." "We are here to talk about systems," I continue. "We believe compliance isn't just a manual you read. It is a living system, and like any system, it must be tested." I click the remote. The massive screen behind me lights up. Slide 1. Case study. The override that broke a bank. The atrium is silent. "I'm going to walk you through a recent, real-world stress test," I say. "A breach that didn't happen to our servers, but to a key vendor. A breach that exploited a system we all use. Trust." My mother's smile freezes. Rain, who was looking at her phone, slowly looks up. "The system had 3 actors," I say. "Let's call them the primary holder, the dormant cosigner, and the beneficiary." I click a new slide, a simple flowchart. The primary holder, a woman with independent status, had a savings fund. The dormant cosigner, a family member, had legacy credentials from when the holder was a minor. I watch my mother. Every drop of color drains from her face. She knows this story. She is realizing, in this atrium, in front of all these people, what I am doing. The dormant cosigner had a motive, I say. They wished to transfer the fund's entire balance to the beneficiary, a second family member, the primary holder, exercising her right, formally denied this transfer. The denial was logged. My voice is clinical. It is the voice of an auditor. But the dormant cosigner, who was an employee at the bank, knew the system. He found a back door, a legacy form from 2018 that bypassed the holder's authority. At 2:17 a.m., he executed the transfer. The money was gone. A murmur goes through the crowd. This is a good story. In the 3rd row, Rain is shrinking into her chair. When the primary holder reported this, the bank refused to act. They called it a family arrangement. They placed the burden of proof on the victim. I click again, slide. When control fails at home. This is where the system broke. The bank's policy assumed that a family designation was a valid substitute for legal authorization. It was not. It was a vulnerability, a parent override with no controls. I look at Hemlock, the CFO, and we discovered that the same vulnerability existed in our own systems, a managerial override in our T&E platform that allowed a single manager to approve a subordinate's expenses, without secondary verification, a perfect tool for collusion. I turn back to the crowd. So, the primary holder had 2 problems. 1, her stolen money, and 2, a corporate system vulnerable to the same logic. She decided to solve the second problem first. I walk them through it, the whistleblower ticket, the legal review, the new protocol. We closed the loophole, effective last week. All Norcrest expenses require multi-signature, independent verification. We no longer treat trust as a control. The crowd applauds. It's a victory for the company. My mother is rigid, staring at me with a look of pure, uncomprehending horror. But that, I say, still left the first problem. The applause dies. The bank would not return the money without an admission. The dormant cosigner refused. The co-conspirator, who had hidden the mail that would have closed the loophole, refused. I look at my mother. Her mouth falls open. Co-conspirator. That left the beneficiary. The beneficiary was already in Europe, attempting to spend the money, but the funds were frozen. She was desperate. She was told that to unlock the funds, she had to sign one last student confirmation form. I click. The screen shows a redacted image of the GNSL BFR 901 form. This is the form she was sent. The unqualified beneficiary admission. In her haste to secure the money, she signed a legal confession. She admitted, with her own digital signature, that she had no legal right to the funds. The bank's automated system, seeing the fraud flag and the confession, executed an immediate reversal. The transaction was closed. A quiet, "Oh my God," comes from someone in the front row. The primary holder got her money back, I say. The dormant cosigner was terminated by the bank. The co-conspirator was left with nothing but the legal proof of her involvement, and the beneficiary's European dream, funded by fraud, evaporated. I pause. This is the moment. The story is anonymous because the process is not. The system is what matters. I click to the final slide. It is almost blank. It just has the new company motto: compliance wins, no overrides without consent. And in the bottom right corner, in small, precise text, case study, submitted by A. Merritt, Director of Compliance, Account of Record, A. Merritt Scholarship Fund, 4U55. The atrium is dead silent. Every eye is on the screen. Every employee, every guest, every executive, they all see my name. They all see the account. The anonymity is gone. The case study is a confession. I step away from the lectern. I didn't lose $68,200, I say, my voice soft. But the microphone picks up every syllable. I invested it. I invested it in a new system, a system at Norcrest, and a system at our bank that no longer has any room for special privileges, a system where family is not a magic word that lets you break the rules. And that is when my mother breaks. "No!" The shriek cuts through the atrium. It is a terrible, ragged sound. "She's lying. That's not what happened. It was for rain. We had a right." Eleanor Merritt, my mother, is on her feet, pointing at me. She is pushing past the people in her row, her face contorted. She is stumbling into the aisle. She is trying to get to the stage. Before she can take 2 steps, 2 of Norcrest's event security staffmen in polite dark suits step in front of her. They don't touch her. They just block her. "Ma'am," one says, his voice firm but quiet. "This area is for authorized speakers." "She's my daughter," my mother screams. "Ma'am, please, you're disrupting the event. You need to return to your seat, or we will have to escort you from the atrium." Escort me? Do you know who I am? But she has lost. This is not her church council. This is not her living room. This is a corporate environment. She has no authority here. She is just a disruptive guest. All her community standing, all her pride, evaporating under the cold atrium lights. She crumples, not physically, but spiritually. The fight goes out of her. The security men just stand there, impassive. I turn my head. I look for Rain. She is not watching my mother's humiliation. She is standing at the very edge of the crowd, near the glass exit. She is staring at her phone. Her face is sheet white, on her screen. I can see the notifications, Instagram comments, scammer. So the Paris trip was a lie? Fraud. A new email notification flashes at the top of her screen. Brand partnership canceled. Artful Home Co. Her phone vibrates again, and again, and again. The small-time brand deals, the local gallery spots, the entire curated artist persona that my money was supposed to fund. It is all being repossessed, in real time, by the public she tried to impress. She looks up, her eyes wide with panic, and she meets my gaze across the atrium. I hold her look. I do not smile. I just watch. She is the first to break. She turns and pushes through the glass doors, running. On stage, Alistair Dunn stands up. He begins to applaud. "Ms. Merritt," he says, his voice carrying over the stunned silence. "Thank you. Thank you for that. Powerful presentation. On behalf of the board, I am granting your department full authority and the necessary budget to implement the no override standard across all Norcrest divisions, effective immediately." The atrium erupts in applause. Real, sustained applause. My colleagues, the executives, the guests, they are clapping for the system. They are clapping for the win. I nod to Alistair Dunn. I turn back to my laptop. The light from the projector is hot. I press the key to blank the screen. Then I slowly, deliberately, closed the laptop lid, the atrium lights, the massive glass walls, the blurred faces of the crowd, they all reflect back at me from the dark, polished surface. I see my own face. I am perfectly, finely, steady. The applause washed over me. It was not for Ava Merritt. It was for the system. It was the sound of 4,000 employees realizing their 401ks were suddenly safer. It was the sound of a board committee breathing a collective sigh of relief, realizing they had been indemnified from a massive liability. It was the sound of a new, colder, more precise set of rules locking into place. I gave a single, brief nod to Alistair Dunn. I did not smile. My work here was done. I picked up my laptop. Its dark, polished surface reflected the harsh overhead lights. I turned, my footsteps silent on the stage, and descended the stairs. The crowd in the atrium parted for me. The applause was fading, replaced by a low, intense murmur. People were looking at their phones, then at me, then at their phones again. The gossip was already metastasizing. The case study was becoming a legend. She was waiting for me near the main glass doors, by the security station where the polite men in suits had politely contained her. She was not screaming now. The fire was gone. She was just diminished, a woman in a beige suit. Her community leader pearls suddenly looking like a cheap, ill-fitting costume. She had been escorted to the perimeter of the event, and she had waited there, a ghost at the edge of the new world I had just built. I did not slow down. I did not intend to stop. My path was direct to the exit. As I passed, her hand twitched, a half-formed gesture to grab my arm, but she thought better of it. Her voice, when it came, was not a scream. It was a dry, venomous whisper, freighted with a lifetime of perceived injustice. "You have embarrassed us all." I stopped. I did not turn my full body. I just turned my head, looking at her over my shoulder. Her word choice was the final, perfect log entry. Embarrassed, not guilty, not ruined, not wrong. Her concern, even now, at the absolute end, was for appearances. Her offense was not the theft. It was the public acknowledgement of it. "I logged the truth," I replied. My voice was just as quiet. But it was not venomous. It was an objective fact. Honor balances its own books. She stared at me. The words were a foreign language. I saw the blank incomprehension in her eyes. I had not given her the emotional, tearful, daughterly response she craved. I had given her an audit summary. She had no tools for this. I turned away and continued walking. As I took the next step, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A single, hard, definitive pulse, a financial alert. I pulled it out. The green and white banner of Grayford Savings and Loan. Transaction 884, T19, case closed, refund settled. The final, digital closing of the file, the last period on the last sentence. My thumb moved to the notification. I swiped left. The word archive appeared. I tapped it. It vanished. I looked up. I was 10 feet from the glass doors, and I saw Rain. She had not fled the building. She had just fled the crowd. She was standing by one of the massive structural pillars, staring up at the giant suspended monitor. The presentation was over, but the final slide remained, projected 20 feet high, illuminating the atrium. Compliance wins. No overrides without consent. She was reading the words, just reading them, over and over. Her face was pale, stripped of its practiced charm, its curated fragility. She was no longer the light, the prodigy, the artist. She was just a 23-year-old woman, finally reading the terms and conditions of her new reality, the world my parents had built for her, a world of exceptions, special access, and emotional overrides, had just been foreclosed. This poster was the new law. She must have felt my gaze. Her head turned. Our eyes met across the polished terrazzo floor. I saw panic. I saw humiliation. I saw, for the first time, nothing. She was a blank page. I did not stop. I did not slow down. I did not look back a second time. There was not one more word to say. The log was closed. I reached the main glass doors. They hissed open. Sensing my approach, I stepped through. They hissed shut behind me, sealing the climate-controlled, recycled air of the atrium inside. For a brief, cinematic second, I caught my own reflection in the glass, and through my reflection, I could see the room I had just left, reflected backward, glowing in the polished surface. Compliance wins. I walked to the final security checkpoint, the turnstile, the last gate. I pulled my ID badge from my pocket. I swiped. The sound was a sharp, definitive click-thunk, the sound of authorization, the sound of a valid key, the sound of a system working exactly as designed. I pushed through the metal bar. The cold October wind hit my face. It was real. It was sharp. It smelled of traffic and the coming rain, not of stale coffee and filtered air. It was the wind of the outside world, the world of consequences. I stood on the pavement, breathing it in. It was a profound, absolute, and structural peace, the peace of a balanced sheet, the quiet of a blank log page, waiting for a new entry. But there was nothing left to write. The screen goes black. Thank you so much for listening to this story. We're a community here, and I'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from. Please drop a comment below. Share your thoughts on Ava's story, and let's connect. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you really loved it, please support us by hitting that hype button so this story can be heard by even more people.